Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. And that whenever and wherever you happen to be, no matter what karmic wheel you're on right now, whether you're on the karmic bus or you're off the karmic bus, I hope that you are able to mind your own karmic business and kind of stop trying to delve into other people's karmicness. Stop trying to judge them based on what you are perceiving as their karma. Now, this has been brought up to my attention in the past 3 or 4 days from various postings I've seen people post. A lot of people have been complaining about the baby witches. I have nothing to do with TikTok. I don't even know what the hell baby witches, what. I think it's people who are brand new to witchcraft or Wicca or magic in general. They're like waking up one day going, ooh, I think I'm a witch. And then all of a sudden they read a few things and they start posting stuff on TikTok or Insta or Face or I don't even know what. And apparently it's been so toxic and annoying that many of the people I follow start posting really hilarious videos about this. And I'm like, what? This is really strange. So I don't know that this is you guys, but if it's been bothering you too, or you've ever come across any of this, it's a really weird phenomenon. But, you know, baby witches or newly awakened spiritual individuals, people who woke up, 2-3 months ago, they seem to understand what's going on in your house. I mean, if you had a house guest and you've been living in your house for 30 years and your house guest came over for the very first time, and they woke up and 10 minutes later, they could tell you what's going on in your house. They got in really late. They saw nothing. They were in no room except their own room. And then they wake up and walk up into the kitchen and they say, you know what you need in this house? You know what's going on in this house? You know what I'm sensing in this house? It's like, no. You know the path from your bedroom to my kitchen. You don't know my whole house. You don't know the basement or the attic or all the floors in between. You don't even know every blade of grass in the yard like I do. You know what I mean? Like, people try to see one little tiny part of you and then they judge you based on that. There was another post, I can't remember what it was about exactly. It might have been a baby witch related one, or it might have just been something else, but I remember there was like a discussion going on, and my part in it was to say, look, something that jacked me up when I was first on the New Age path was when people told me that, well, if you were abused as a kid, that means you were an abuser. You were a terrible person in a past life. And it was just your karma. You deserved to be abused. And that had me all kinds of jacked up. I mean, for a while, like a year or something, until one day I found a book. Can't remember what it was called, but I'm grateful to this author, and I always will be. I really can't remember the author, honestly. But this person said, don't ever let anybody judge you based on your current life experiences. Don't ever let anybody say it's because of a past life, because they don't know. They don't know what you did in the past life. They don't know what you're doing in the current life. They don't know what you chose for yourself or why in this life. And don't allow them to blame the victim by putting it on a faraway event that they're perceiving to have happened because they're brand new to the spiritual community. And this author went on to say that, for example, child abuse, it's a big problem in our society, big problem in the world, in every society, in fact. It's not something that happens only in America and never anywhere else. I'm sure it happens in Canada. I'm sure it happens in India. I'm sure it happens in all of South America. Like, every country, has stressed out people. Every country has people who are abused, unfortunately. And what this book went on to say was, maybe you were an abuser in a past life. That is a possibility, but it is one of many possibilities. And for someone to say that you are abused now because you were an abuser then is extremely short-sighted. It's not having the whole picture. It's judgmental. Again, like I said before, blaming the victim mentality. And it's just one little tiny potential, right? It's just a really tiny potential. So what this book went on to say, which blew my mind, it said, perhaps, and this is more often the case than not, perhaps you are a very strong soul and you've always had an awakened mentality, and you came here to help the abuser change his or her ways. You came as a very strong, bright, shining light to shine a light on where they're going wrong. Maybe you're the strong one and you came here to help them change who they are at their core. They get to Earth and they have an anger issue, so you're helping them through that. I mean, isn't that a wild and wonderful way to flip the script? Isn't that awesome? I mean, that's the cat's pajamas, baby. That's the bee's knees. Because all these people that had said this judgmental crap to me, one of which, she owned an astrology shop in Santa Barbara, and she herself was a Virgo. And so I always had this love for her, and this like I totally understood her. She totally understood me. We had this amazing rapport, and she was always there for me. And I even bought my very first hypnotherapy cassette before I even ever had CDs. It was my first cassette I ever bought, and it saved my life. I was being scheduled for a lung removal surgery, and something told me go down to this new age bookstore, and I walked, and I was like, I thought I was gonna die walking down there with my boyfriend, and I ended up getting this hypnosis tape, and it was a miracle. We didn't even have the money. I told my boyfriend, look in your wallet. He's like, I don't have the money. I'm like, open your damn wallet. He opened his wallet. He's like, I don't have the money. And he showed me there was nothing in there. And he shut his wallet, put it back in his pocket. I'm like, take your damn wallet out, open it again, and there's money right in there. He's like, I didn't see any. I'm like, I didn't see it either, but it wasn't there yet. And he opened it again, and there it was, the $20. And I scrounged up the last $4.95 out of my purse. And we bought it. We went around the corner, found another 10, and immediately spent that on nachos. And the rest was for the bus home. And I listened to that thing every single day until my next doctor's appointment like 4 or 5 days later, 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day for 4 or 5 days. And it was about forgiveness. It was self-healing, but it was about forgiveness. And you know what, guys? When I got there, the doctor started shaking visibly, and he looked at me and he said, "What the hell did you do, Elena? What the hell did you do? Oh my God. You're 100% healed, and I had you scheduled for Tuesday." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "We were going to remove your lung because I was certain it was going to be necrosed because you were that sick. We were terrified that you were going to die because we've never seen a 19-year-old so sick." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you know what? My higher self has a different thought than you. God has a different plan for me." God led me to a New Age bookstore where I purchased a hypnotherapy cassette, and I listened to it 24 hours a day, not 7 days, but it's like only about 4 days. I'm like, I listened to it 24 hours a day for 4 days, and day and night. The subliminal side as well as the liminal side. And he just was blown away. I mean, he had to sit down. He was shaking. He's like, it shouldn't, how could that be? That shouldn't have happened. I'm like, "Yeah, but I live in a world of miracles, and apparently you don't." But maybe you do now. And he goes, "Well, I believe in miracles." I go, "Well, you just witnessed one." And he kind of hugged me, and he was just like, "Okay, I'm, wow, thank you. You just taught me a lesson. There's Santa Barbara for you, baby." But what's funny is, so I had this bond with this woman because literally she carried something in her store that saved my life. And one day I went in and we were talking, and I said, "You know, I have so much to forgive. I was like treated so badly my whole childhood. From the beginning, my mother gave me away to strangers, right? I loved the strangers she gave me to, but I mean, where the hell's my mom?" That was the first one. And then, you know, when my mom left my dad and I, that was the second one. And then the third one was my dad got married to a woman who abused me and kidnapped me to Mexico. And then the fourth one was after he divorced, or well, annulment with her, so she could continue being Catholic. And he went and married a third woman who abused the holy hell out of me until I was 18 and left the house. You know, so I'm like, I have a lot of freaking things to forgive, a lot of people to forgive, you know? And I told her that. I said, you know, this cassette helped me get through this crisis. But it's one of these things that I'm going to have to listen to for a long time because I have a lot of shit that I need to get through. And I'm just so grateful. And I was like trying to tell her thank you. And she said, "Well, you know, if you were abused in this life, it's because you were an abuser. You were probably a big burly guy. Ooh, I could just see it now. You probably beat the hell out of somebody." And that jacked me up. I didn't talk to her for like 3 months. In fact, I finally went back down to her store, and her store had moved to a different location, to a smaller location. I think I might have cursed her. I think I might have screwed her business up a little bit with my cursing of her doing that to me. And I felt guilty, and I'm like, "God, forgive me. I think I messed up. I was so judgmental." And I still have that streak. You know, Virgos have that tendency. We judge ourselves. We're harsher and more critical of ourselves than anyone else. But we always try to hold people up to that, hold a candle up to people. Like, come on, like, we hold standards up. If you don't match that standard, we're like, psst, whatever. You know, like we'll put you on a pedestal, and then we'll kick the pedestal out from underneath you. You know, it's not a good thing. It's a Virgo, and when we're not in our power, we will do that. But I was just so pissed at her, like, what the hell? And then I was like realizing I kind of need her store. There was only 2 or 3 stores in town, and hers had specific things that the other ones didn't. And I just had all kinds of love for her, even though I was pissed off at her. But that had me jacked up for a long time. And then I went to one of the other New Age stores, and they said the same fucking thing to me. And I was like, no. But no, I wasn't an abuser in a past life. I feel it. I sense it. I know it somehow. But when I found that book, and I don't even know what book it was, I think I found it at the Earthling bookstore. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, if it's even in business anymore. Oh my God. I mean, that bookstore, the Earthling bookstore in Santa Barbara, right there on State Street, the main drag. I lived in that bookstore. I didn't buy a lot because I didn't have a lot of money, but I browsed and browsed in there. I would hang around the New Age book section, which was very small back in the 80s. And I just would sit there and just absorb the positive energy and positive vibrations. And more often than not, I'd stare at Paramahansa Yogananda and judge him because, that's where I was at yet, and now I love him dearly, and he comes to my aid every time I need it. Spiritual advanced master, God rest his soul. He did pass, but he passed consciously, and we have been in touch for years, psychically, through mental telepathy. I've even channeled him on the show. If you're brand new to the show, I have a lot of brand new listeners that are brand new, steady listeners. I mean, like 15 people since last week. So thank you and welcome aboard. I'm glad to have you. By the way, as a part of the Metaphysical Soul Speak family, we're all soul tribe and soul family here. So some people that listen to the show have been awake for a long time. Some of you know that you were like an original part of the Galactic Federation of Light. A lot of you are starseeds. A lot of you are blueprinters of the earth. You worked on one or two little parts of creating this world, and you're here to see it through to the end. A lot of you have been fairies in a past life. You've been angels or archangels in past life. And some of you don't even know it. You don't even know that about yourself yet. And you will learn in time that you were. And some of you were just humans, and that's it. You've been humans this whole time. And now you're trying to hear me spit the truth out of various things because it's raising your vibration. I'm encouraging you. I'm loving you. I'm helping you. Through my words, through my voice, God speaks, God works, God upgrades you, gives you light codes and downloads and upgrades through my voice. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people out there, same thing happens through their voice as well. You have to use, though, your discernment to discover the truth. And by the way, the cards of the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, I actually asked God to please give me one card for the collective, and these two came out, discernment and the truth. So in a moment, I'm going to be reading to you what these mean, because thank you, God, I was able to find the PDF for these cards online. It didn't come with a book, so I'm glad I was able to find it, at least online. So anyway, but I have been judged 3 or 4 times in the past month or so about and I mentioned it twice last week and mentioning it again because I feel like there was like an angle missing somehow. And I've been, I try to look at everything from an angle. And when someone says a criticism of me, or they say something, I think that you're this, and I think that you're that, or whatever, I really take it to heart. And then I weigh it, on my own personal scale of truth and discernment, where are they coming from? How long have they been awake, and how long have they been on the spiritual path? But also sometimes it's out of the mouth of babes come a direct truth from God sometimes. So I have to weigh the truth. I have to weigh, and I have to use my discernment. And somebody said something to me that she doesn't think I'm spiritually advanced enough for her, somehow because I had drama in my life. Drama not really, it was in my life, and it was around me for a while. And what this person failed to recognize was several things. Number one, we are in September and we have yet gone through another 4 months worth of spiritual growth in the past 7 days. If you are working on yourself, if you're not working on yourself, maybe you're not growing. But for most of us and most of you out there listening, and I would have to say probably 99.99%, if not all of you, are working on yourself spiritually at this time. It's why you're listening to the show. Listening to the show is spiritual growth, right? Because if you use your discernment, you're going to find out what your truths are. What I say is a truth, or what I say is not a truth for you yet. So it might be your truth. It might not be your truth yet. You might not want to accept it, and that's okay. And possibly you're on a different path, right? So anyway, everyone is on a different path, honestly. You might not agree with me because I eat meat. You might think I must be a low level, whatever. But you know what? I'm on a different path than you. Some spiritual paths eat meat. People eat meat. Some spiritual paths, they don't. Hare Krishnas. God bless them. I used to eat vegetarian food in their temple in Lima, Peru, like 3-4 times a week with my oldest. We decided to be healthy. Let's go and eat that wheatgrass bread or whatever the hell they're making. I don't know. Some of the stuff actually made my body really funky. It's like I ate the vegetarian food. It's all I ate. And the next day I have horrible asthma. Oh my God. Is everything they make made of wheat? That's so unhealthy, but I tried every day to go and love them. And every day they were rude and mean and judgmental of me and really sweet to my daughter for some reason. And she always was like, do you always have to make a scene? I'm like, do they always have to be judgmental of me? Do they always have to be rude to me? Do they always purposely try to charge me $1 more than what they charge you and give me half as much food? Do they always really have to do that? Seriously, they were seriously prejudiced against me. They hated me for some reason, and I think because one time I said, I'm going to go eat a hamburger later, so I'm not going to eat here. And I was just paying for my daughter, and they were rude to me, and I think they judged me because I don't know, something weird. Still, I give them love, whatever. I test people and either they pass or they don't. It is what it is. But, so anyway, so I was thinking about this, am I really and truly creating all the drama in my life it's all my fault and I'm such a low level, whatever? No. And what I said last week, what did I say? Sometimes you do attract drama in your life by creating it, and sometimes drama comes into your life so you can heal it if you are a high vibrational healer like I am. It's it is what it is, But this person, was kind of insinuating that maybe I have a lot of karma, maybe I'm not as advanced as I say I am, maybe, which I don't even ever say I am, which is hilarious. I know where I am, and I know that I'm not a master. I've never said I'm a spiritual master, but I am channeling God 100% of the time. I literally got on my knees and I asked God, take over my life. I will be your spokesperson, your mouthpiece. I will do whatever. Let your peace run through me. Let your joy, your healing run through me. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. I said the St. Francis of Assisi prayer. And the next day, 24 hours later, I was hit by lightning. Knocked out all my karma just like that. Ooh, that was fun. 3 weeks of being super crippled because the path of the lightning, gone through my arm, my shoulder, my legs, my heart, my brain. Sometimes I lose words because I was hit by lightning, which makes me, by the way, a lightning shaman. And I was already a Heyoka shaman before, so I call myself a Heyoka lightning shaman, and that is why. And I did actually, if you don't know what a Heyoka is, you can go back. Last year I did a whole episode on Heyoka. I'm a Heyoka empathic lightning shaman, and I am Cherokee. And I didn't grow up on the Cherokee lands, but my grandfather did. And so I've always had the ancestors, the grandfather with me, guiding my path as well. And now I have God himself guiding my path as well. And I have a lot of ascended masters around me, helping me to ascend, because I want to be an ascended master. I'm not even a master, let alone an ascended one, obviously. So I'm working on it, working hard at it. You know, like I want to get into sainthood first, and then, you know, there's like a path, spiritual path. But this person was saying things like, you know, I'm drawing drama to me, and like maybe I have karma, and maybe I'm not, you know, as advanced as I think, and that maybe my twin flame is asleep and he's not aware. And I know that my twin flame has been writing to me and deleting it. He's so scared. Even in the past hour, 4 or 5 times, it said, I have a new message request. And I go there and it immediately erases, like 4 times in the past, like, hour. And 4 times I got out my pendulum, and I'm like, okay, I'm making my mind blank, and I'm asking, is that my twin flame? And every time I got the answer yes, and I'm like, oh my God. And I mean, at first I asked, you know, is it a Christian I pissed off today? I'm like really trying not to piss off the Christians. I'm trying so hard, and I just can't manage to not, you know, 2 or 3 times. You know, I'm not trying to make anyone angry. I'm just trying to point out truths. Like, I want people, if they're going to follow Jesus, follow his words, his example of his life. He was an incredible man. I'm not telling anyone not to be the religion they are. I'm just telling them to work their religion in the correct way. That's all. You know, consider that maybe you are involved in a death cult, worshiping the death of a man, and you're ignoring the words he said during his life. Like coming onto a New Age post and judging everybody for having the beliefs. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong. You need to stop following this person. This isn't, you know, we're not your crowd. We're not your soul family. You're a different soul family. You're welcome, but I mean, don't come here and say, I'm a Christian, and then follow that up with saying New Age ideas are bullshit, which is a judgment. What did Jesus say not to effing do? Judge others. What did God say not to effing do? Judge not, lest you be judged. Thou shalt not judge. Only God can judge. Why do Christians go around spouting to everybody? Not all Christians, by the way, and I'm sorry for saying it that way, but because it's not true. My brother's a really good Christian. You know, I know a lot of good Christians, actually, that are really following the program set out by the living Jesus, not by the dead Jesus, you know, lamenting and crying every day that he died. Well, fuck, everyone dies. That's not a big fucking surprise here. I'm sorry, but it's not a big surprise. We all die. And if we're lucky or stupid, we all come back too. I don't know which one it is. I vacillate between, yeah, I'm lucky to be here, and then, what did I do? Damn it. Why? I know why I'm here now, guys. I'm here to help you ascend, trying to help myself ascend, trying to wake myself up, wake my ass up more, so I could send more, so I could help you guys wake up, so I could help you guys ascend more. That's why I'm here. To help you understand that A, you're not crazy, and B, it's happening. This is the final curtain call, the end of the world, apocalypse now. But it doesn't have to be the full apocalypse. We could turn this into the most beautiful crystal city you ever did see. But you got to raise your vibration. Got to love yourself. Got to love everybody. And you got to stop judging people based on what you think their karma might be, what their drama might be. So I was thinking about this. I weigh shit out for, like, I'm a Virgo. I'm very thorough. Did it bug me? Because it's true. And I'm not really bugged. At first I was hurt. And then I considered the source. And then I considered, am I judging the source? Which maybe I was for a couple seconds. And then I smoothed that over energetically. And I was just shocked. I was just stunned. Like, this person would say this to me. And then I realized that this person is not in the position to judge where I'm at. And then I started realizing no one has the position. You can't judge me based on where you think I'm at spiritually, because you don't effing know. And I can't judge you based on where I think you are spiritually, her or anyone else, because I don't effing know. There are stories in Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda in which there was, for example, a prisoner, hardcore. I think he murdered somebody, like a big time prisoner. Like everyone's like afraid of him. He was a horrible person. He mostly stayed inside his jail cell. He did not interact with other people in India. And one day out of nowhere, God struck him with, I think maybe with lightning. And when he did that, immediately he knew everything spiritually. Boom, instant master. You know why? Every lifetime leading up to this lifetime, he was working on himself, and he was already a spiritual master. But then in this life, he chose to forget everything and lead a path of a criminal so that he become a spiritual master like immediately, because he wanted to undo people's judgment of others. Duh. I mean, it's what a lot of people do. You know, did you ever judge somebody who is mentally challenged? Did you ever think that someone who's mentally challenged, well, wow, what did they do in a past life? Maybe they were this, maybe they were that. Have you ever? Be honest with yourself. You're sitting there, this is inside your own head, whether it's yes or no to this, right? Because I did not judge people that, who had this disease. I felt sorry for them. I felt like, man, what a bummer, They literally lost the genetic lottery. And it freaked me out because being a Virgo, a lot of shit freaks me out. But I would always just, God, please bless this person. And I would cry about it. I would cry. And one time my husband saw me crying when I saw a mentally challenged person. And he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, you know what? I just feel so bad. I feel guilty that I'm smart, that I'm at the bottom rung of genius, but I'm still a genius. And how do I rate over this person? It doesn't make sense to me. And it made me very upset. And I cried about it. And he said, the thing is, many times, more often than not, people who are mentally challenged are spiritual masters in disguise. They don't have to interact with people too much. They get to observe, and they get to just generate huge amounts of love. He said, if you ever stand next to somebody who is mentally challenged, you're going to feel a super high vibration, and they're like a love generator. And no one expects anything of them, hardly at all. And that way they can just work on focusing on the love. And their spirit is working through the body. And they don't need the mind as much. And I was like, oh, well, I could drop my stupid false guilt. That doesn't make me a better person to have false guilt. It doesn't make anyone a better person to have false guilt. It just gives God the experience of false guilt. That God doesn't need that shit. Neither do you. And neither does the person you're secretly judging, thinking, oh, it's so sad for them. That's why I say I was very judgmental when I was younger, But, in this case, at that point in my life, I wasn't as judgmental. I had gotten over a lot of it. But that always that jacked me up too. How do I rate over them? I don't think I do. And it bothered me a lot. And now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh yeah, well, maybe. They're probably more spiritually advanced than me, so hey. And then I started realizing that anyone can be more spiritually advanced than me, duh. And anyone can be less spiritually advanced than me as well. And you don't know, and I don't know, and nobody knows. Only God knows, and only their soul knows. Even the people, you don't even know. You might be a brand new to the planet, or you might be a spiritual master and you don't know it yet. Everyone's a spiritual master in training, though. I call this being in the school called MIT, Master in Training. We are all in that school. But So I weigh everything. So this is one of the things I was thinking, and I was thinking, I'm like, did I really draw the drama? Da da da. I like went through everything. I'm like, no, because I healed it. I healed the energy of it. I healed it, and everything's fine now. And it's been fine since I healed it. I haven't healed things in my friend's house, which I didn't draw to me, that had nothing to do with me. It was just something that's happening to my friend, and I healed that situation. Through God, of course. God only works. God works through me. I can't say I'm the healer. God's the healer. God's the ultimate physician of every remedy. He's the remedy for everything. But I started thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And then today, this is the thought. And this is the biggest thought I want you to take away. If you judge me because I had a drama in my life for a couple of weeks, you would also too judge Jesus for letting them take him and kill him. He drew that drama to himself because he was low level, low vibration, not a spiritual master. Oh, hold up. No. You don't know why someone has drama in their life. And you can't judge them and say they're lower vibration, they're in duality or polarity. Did Mother Mary draw it to herself because her son was in crisis? Oh, she's such a low vibrational person. She's such in duality. She drew that drama to herself that her son would be taken away by the Roman soldiers and murdered on a cross before everybody. Oh my God, she's so low level and spiritual, not spiritual at all. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe I am motherfucking wrong on that. Maybe she's the mother of the greatest avatar that ever lived because she had done her spiritual work in other lifetimes. He did his spiritual work in other lifetimes. And maybe there's more to the story than what you know about what happened to him anyway. Did he draw the drama to him? No. Was he a man of peace? Yes. I'm not comparing myself to him at all, but am I a person of peace? Yes. I will point out a problem when I see a problem. I will point out a flaw in someone's thinking when I see it. Without judgment. You're more than welcome to think it's your place. None of you are listening are in this situation, but the Christians who say crap to me are the ones that they're more than welcome to judge me all they want. We'll see at the end of the life if that was going to get them anywhere faster. Did that actually help them or did that harm them? Don't come to my post and judge me on something I said when this wasn't for you. My post wasn't intended for you, right? It wasn't even on my post. It was actually on this other. It was on a post of a person who calls herself a witch in the name of her name. It's super obvious, and she had a very spiritual post, and it was not even anything to do with Christianity. It wasn't against anybody. It was not judgmental for anything. It was actually a really funny post. And this person judged it, and it was like, what? I'm a Christian, and then 5 seconds later, I'm judging everybody here. You guys are full of shit. She literally said that. Wow. I scratch my head in wonderment. My people are so willing to spend their time like that. And so I spent my time for a few minutes going, look, this wasn't meant for you, this post. You need to get off this is not your circle. Go find your own circle where you're going to be loved and welcomed. And then she said, well, I got roped into it, and New Age movement is the devil's lies. And I just lost it. I was like, oh my God. The devil punishes evil. He is not evil. And it's it says so in the Bible, her own freaking religion. It just, whatever. Okay, whatever. It just was driving me nuts. But it did dawn on me, let's see, the one person in the whole wide world that had the most drama, quote unquote drama, was Jesus Christ. Jesus the Christ. And are you going to judge him for all that drama? No. So why would you judge me for having a couple bad weeks? No. And I don't judge anybody for having any bad weeks at all, because you know what? You know what? It's okay. We all have bad weeks. And this month, this is a make it or break it month, dude. Like this 30 days has September. And in these 30 days, we are spiritually growing one full freaking year. Did you go to the dark side? Did you go to the light side? Don't go to the dark side because they have cookies. Stay on the light side because we have angel food cake. It's okay. You can go whichever way you want. It's up to you. Because you have to know your shadow self anyway. And you got to know the dark side in order to know the light. It's all coming full circle. It's all completing. It's in the process. The Alpha is becoming the Omega. The world is ending. But we're going to determine through our own actions and vibrations, and including the actions of judging others and saying they're not good enough, we're going to have to determine where we want to be. Do we want to turn Earth, which is kind of pretty much as hell here, right? Do we want to turn this into a big fiery pit, another sun, firing up, bursting into flames? Or do we want to turn this into the most beautiful planet, transform it with our love, our thoughts, raising our vibration to raise that of others, not telling people you're not spiritual enough for me, you're not good enough for me, you're not where I think you should be, or I think I'm ahead of you on the path, so, because you have drama. People are allowed to have crises. Allow people the room to feel sad, to feel mad, to feel angst at the past. Allow yourself to feel these things, if you must. You know, we have to examine the dark side in order to come to the light. We need to work through the shadows. Yea, though I walk through the shadow, or the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, because thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest me a feast in the presence of my enemies. And so shall it be forever and ever. Amen. Psalm 23, baby. All right. This is not a religious show, in case you're brand new. Not a religious show. But I do quote from the Bible, and sometimes from the Quran, and sometimes from the Torah, because it's imperative to see things in a clear light and understand. If thine eye be single, let thy whole body be filled with light. What did Jesus mean by that? To constantly drink his blood and eat his body and be really interested in his death and cry your heart out over it and put art pictures up and wear fucking necklaces about it? I don't fucking think so. What did he mean by that? Fill your third eye with light. Shut your physical eyes, your third eye. Let your eye be single. That means look into your pineal gland, babe. Look into that. And then your whole body will be filled with light. Well, you don't know what the hell that means until you follow the instructions, which are very, very simple. It took me a year before I could see that light. It took me probably a couple months before I could fill my whole body with light. Now I shut my eyes and my whole body fills with light like that. And that is how I connected with God. And that is why I channel God now. This is why I and my Father are one now. And this isn't just me. This can be you too if you wish. You know, you follow those words. Stop worshiping the death of a man and start focusing on the life of a man. So you could stop focusing on your inevitable death and you could start focusing more on your personal life, right? The life within and your actual life. Like, you know, instead of judging what you perceive someone else's life is, you know. I mean, you could see my life on a day that I'm winning the lottery and say, wow, she must be super spiritual. Look at all the abundance God granted her. Or you could see me on the day that I lost all the money because I didn't know how to manage it and say, wow, God must hate her. Look at all the money she lost. You know, I've never won the lottery in my life, but you see the point. Like, you don't know. You don't know what's up with that. Some people win the lottery because they deserve to win the lottery. Some people win the lottery because it's part of their punishment and torture because God knows they're going to lose it. Because they deserve to lose it because they caused someone else to lose a fortune in a past life. You know? It's just this spiritual experience of the thing because you can't take the money with you. You can't take the shit with you. You can't... you can't take the wig with you. You can't take the jewelry with you. You can't take the boat or the good, cool fishing gear with you, but it's nice to enjoy it while you're here. You know? We're here for an experience. Everything in this world and in this life, guys, it's an experience. Let me tell you, by the way, what is the experience of, according to Pure Intention 5555, which, my God, I love this person. Yeah, Pure_Intention 555. She always has it right on. The energy update, the Ascension Symptoms. She wrote this on, 15 hours ago. She wrote, coughing, sneezing, burping, spacey, dizziness, headaches, back of the head, all the way to the temples, headaches, ear pressure, popping in the ears, pain in the ribs. Might be one side, the right and then the other. Third eye is tingling and might have pressure. Some sinus pressure, runny nose that happens on and off. Vivid dreams, itchiness all over the body, heat in the head. Now, some of you might be going through purges where you were really bloated and all of a sudden you're just peeing and peeing and peeing, but you didn't drink much water. Or maybe you're having diarrhea still. Some people started their diarrhea purging like a few days ago. I did like 3 weeks ago for almost 3 weeks. I mean, I thought, well, maybe I'll lose weight out of it. I think I did actually, but it's your body everything is transforming so fast that you're just like purging and purging and purging. That's okay. And some of you might just be purging through, you might have horrible breath out of nowhere, just purging through your lungs. Now, I'm extremely congested because Sangay, the beautiful giver volcano that lives 70 miles away from me, Sangay decided to blow his top again, and he's spewing ash out 40,000 feet into the air. So it has affected all the airports in the country of Ecuador, where I live, and no one's allowed to fly in or fly out because you just can't see a damn thing. And the other day I swept my floor and my floor was covered in ash. I was like, what the hell? It looks like someone dumped an ashtray. I don't smoke. And it looked like someone dumped an ashtray in my room. And then I realized, of course, it's the great giver of life, Sangay volcano. When this volcano pops off, it really, man, he goes off. He loses his top. But I feel like there's a beautiful energy to this volcano, so I don't mind it so much. I would like to live a little farther away from him so it doesn't affect my lungs so much. As an asthmatic living at 8,400 feet above sea level, it's hard to breathe anyway. And so this has been a challenge. I was in bed for 3 days thinking, oh my God, I think I'm sick. I had a fever Thursday night, 100.3. I still did the show. The show must go on. and it did. But yeah, I don't know. I thought I was sick, and then the next day I did not have a fever and I was fine. And I've been fine ever since. But that apparently is an Ascension symptom. I just had it a few days ahead of a few other people who are now announcing it. So everything that she said, I've had. Every single thing. But I had it like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago now. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on through the weekend as well. So if you guys are having these symptoms and you're scared that you have COVID, maybe you do have it, maybe you do not. But be aware, it is Ascension Symptoms. So if you have a fever, you're like, oh my God, if you have like 102 fever, yeah, you need to go get a test immediately and get treated. If you have just like 100 and a half or less, 100.5 or less, it might be Ascension Symptoms. Still be cautious, still self-isolate, do all the good things that the doctors say. Just be careful. All right, discernment and truth. I'm going to go ahead and post what these mean on my Instagram in the next 24 hours is my goal. Hopefully I'll make the goal. But let's go to spaceweather.com because we'd like to balance the very spiritual with the scientific so that we know we're not going crazy. Solar wind speed right now is 316.7 kilometers per second. So it's picked up a little bit since last week. The sun is currently blank with no sunspots for 31 days. But solar cycle is 25 is coming to life. It looks like the face of the sun is blank now, but it's not going to be blank for long, according to this article. A new sunspot group is about to rotate over towards us from the eastern edge of the sun. And the magnetic canopy of this is visible already in the Solar Dynamics Observatory of NASA. So NOAA also announced, NASA and NOAA both said, we are in solar cycle 25. It's official. It has begun, but it's really had a hard time getting out of the solar minimum. We will see what's happening as the days go by. We are now at a high level of cosmic radiation coming down. This affects us as well. That's part of where we're getting our Ascension Symptoms from. The cosmic radiation, plasma and whatnot, coming from all over the universe. It has, though, in the past 48 hours gone down by 0.2%, but we're still at 10% of the space age average, so it is high. Lots of cosmic radiation happening at this moment. We have 13 fireballs that were spotted by NASA's all-sky cameras and the all-sky fireball network over the United States. 13 fireballs. They were all sporadic. Let's see. Is there anything else that we haven't announced? Oh, yes. Let's see. Solar wind was flowing from the northern corona hole in the sun. It's going to be grazing Earth's magnetic field on the 24th and the 26th. Now, over the weekend, I looked and I peeked, and it looks like tomorrow and the next day, we will be getting some solar wind. Tomorrow and the next day, and then the next, then see, 22, maybe it's 21, 22, which would maybe be tonight and tomorrow, or maybe it's tomorrow, I can't remember now. So anywhere between here and Tuesday late, and then also on the 24th through the 26th, so which is what? Let's see, we're on the 21st, 23, 24, so yeah, like Wednesday. So I would say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to get hit by the solar radiation. Now, as far as Heart Math Institute goes, we are at a loss because they are still in the fires in California. They have not reset up their laboratory to let us know the 6 Schumann resonances from the 6 different cities around the world that they monitor. So the only thing that we have, the only information we have is coming out of Italy, and that's disclosurenews.it. And 14 hertz frequency was what was recorded there. Now, keep in mind that usually there is a tendency for the Schumann resonance in Italy to be extremely low compared to all the other numbers that we normally look at. So you could go, oh, well, I don't feel it at all. It's only 14. And then, but the reality world is it might even be near you, might be 400, 200, 300. These are the numbers we have been seeing. I've seen it up to 700 hertz frequency. Now, what's normal for Earth, if you're just tuning in, it's 7.83 for like 50 years has been the normal Schumann resonance. So it's a big deal what's been happening in the past year and a half. I wish Heart Math would get their lab back up because I'd like to see these numbers. In fact, we will probably have to do a Schumann resonance review over the past month just to kind of see where things were at. I'll give you guys like the peaks maybe the valleys from California to Lithuania to Saudi Arabia to South Africa. They have all these numbers, even New Zealand. So I think it's New Zealand or Australia. Oh my God, it's been so long. I don't have them memorized anymore. Yeah, no, Northland, New Zealand. It is New Zealand. So, yeah, that's the big deal, man. It's a big deal. They say the Schumann resonance affects us, again, leading to more ascension symptoms, as well as the coronal winds. I mean, the solar winds coming from the coronas. There's that word again. Coming from the sun, as well as when there's solar flares that hit. And then we've had supernova energies hits in the past year. We've had magnetars hit. A lot of energy from around the universe has been directed our way. So lots of stuff going on. I wanted to try and get to this discernment. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I don't think. The discernment card heralds an opportunity for powerful growth and expansion and the need for raised awareness. Examine the facts and draw on relevant wisdom learned from the past experience and listen to your intuition. Now's the time to examine the bare truth before moving forward and for being mindful of possible consequences of your thoughts, your deeds, and your actions. Now, 3 spheres of the zodiac, compass, and world crown each of the geishas on this card. They're doing the see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. It's a really adorable card. I love it. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to put it on Instagram at mermaidgirl888, just so you guys can see this. So in the next 24 hours, hopefully tonight, but maybe not till tomorrow morning. But anyway, let's see. They're saying the forward motion depends on the quality of wisdom underlying the powers of discernment. Now, there's crows in the far distance in this card, which indicates an omen of approaching change. Yay! We like that. In shamanic practice, crow medicine, I have crow medicine. Woo, I never saw this card before. This is cool. Crow medicine is called upon to aid in the clarity of vision and personal transformation. Guard against scattering your energies at this time. Know that the mighty ally of discernment is as critical to your survival along the spiritual path as on the physical plane. There are not many worldly laws to protect the human heart as it ventures into the unseen realms of the spiritual psyche, yet the perils are just as real, if not greater, precisely because of their intangible nature. The sovereignty of our spiritual domain rests with our own wise counsel and the natural laws of cause and effect, which is, oh my God, karma. That's the natural law of cause and effect, karma. So wise discernment is key to effective let me restart. Start that one over. Wise discernment is key to effective integration of spiritual principles in our daily lives, and well worthy of the time, effort, and patience needed to cultivate it. Well, that kind of goes along with what earlier the theme was. All right, now we're looking for the truth card. Let's see, which is really lovely. LMNOP. Oh no. I'm trying to go really fast, and it went really tiny for a minute. Okay, here we are. Trust, no. Truth, okay. I almost read the trust card. We do need good trust in ourselves and in God. Truth. All right, I'm not going to read all of it again. It's about a warrior woman meeting her own reflection in a mirror, and above her, looking at herself, there's a big, all-seeing eye. So, there's also a double-edged sword. It's capable of separation and liberation. It symbolizes dual powers of nature, such as life and death, victory and defeat. Like a sword, truth is a sharp instrument worthy of the greatest respect. Depends on how they're wielded, though. Both have the ability to destroy or even to heal. Only the maturity and wisdom of the user determines the outcome. In tarot, the suit of swords, which this is not tarot, represents navigation of thought and the unseen realm of the mind. But when it comes to the application of truth, the unruly mind cleverly justifies all manner of things and distracts us away from our alignment to love. Fear poses many challenges along the path to discovering the liberation of truth. Reactions of others, guilt, and insecurity distract and rob us of the opportunity to clearly identify the truth of the matter. That might be a message for somebody. Yeah, I see about 3 of you going, You're looking into situations that this pertains to you. Good. All right. I can see the future. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Well, that was rude. I didn't mean for it to cut off there. If it had not shrunk down really tiny and I had that little flub there, I think I would have had enough time to get through this. So where were we? Let's see. Let's get to the rest of this. So, and I'll just read the last part. In tarot, the suit of swords represents navigation of thought and the unseen realm of the mind. But when it comes to the application of truth, the unruly mind cleverly justifies all manner of things and distracts us away from our alignment to love. Fear poses many challenges along the path to discovering the liberation of truth. Reactions of others, guilt, and insecurity distract and rob us of the opportunity to clearly identify the truth of the matter. The presence of this powerful card is a call for authentic freedom. Bravely face your fears, step into the light of love, and examine the essence of the situation. Rather than face facts, perhaps you've been in a state of avoidance. If this is the case, it could be a reminder to sort the wheat from the chaff so you can clearly move beyond the gravitational pull of your old patterns. You may also be searching for the reality behind your relationship to others, or the deeper meaning of life and your place and purpose in it. Seeking the truth is a worthy quest on any level and can provide a significant opportunity for liberation and growth. See where the call, and then it's just talking about where it falls in the spread. So, basically it's only next to discernment. So obviously, anyway, there it is. That is the tarot card reading of the day. Now we're going to get into the Kybalion. Excuse me. This is, I don't even know, is this the 9th or the 10th week? We've been reading this one for a while, and this one kind of sucks me into a portal sometimes when I read it. And the last couple weeks, thank God, the masters of the Kybalion, the Three Initiates, who wrote it and published it by the Yogi Publication Society in the year 1912 in Chicago, Illinois, they have been respecting me the past couple weeks and have not pulled me into their portal and into their world, except after, when I'm done speaking to you guys and after I'm done publishing it. Usually I then will fall asleep and then I get sucked into that portal and I remember only a very little bit and then that's it. But I know I'm going to visit these guys because I wake up with insights. I've been waking up with quite a bit of spiritual transformative energy and the like. So hopefully this is doing this for you as well. I mean, I did read last week, or I told you last week, a story from somebody who listens to the show where she had the Kybalion in a sealed envelope and then it disappeared. Went to open the envelope, had never been unsealed, and then it's missing. The book itself is a portal. It's a portal to greater truths. And I've gone to visit these spiritual masters many times now. They won't look at me. They won't talk to me. They have these massive hoodies. Like these robes with like a hoodie on it, and the hood comes out very, very far, like an old-fashioned monk's robe, kind of like a friar or something from like the Franciscan order of monks, if you have ever seen their robes where they come forward. But in my vision of these men, I don't even know, maybe they're not men, maybe they're three women, maybe they're a mix, I don't even know, maybe they don't identify. And that's a good way to start this next chapter. So let's just hop right into it and not speculate anymore. We are reading the Kybalion by Three Initiates, and we are on chapter XIV. Damn it, gotta do my Roman numerals now. X is 10, 4. Okay, so we're on 14. That was hard. Chapter 14, Mental Gender. Oh my God, can you imagine how amazing and enlightened these people are? Pretty awesome for 108 years ago. All right. Yes, all-inclusive Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I love this. Okay, chapter 14, Mental Gender. Students of psychology who have followed the modern trend of thought along the lines of mental phenomena are struck with the persistence of the dual mind idea, which has manifested itself so strongly during the past 10 or 15 years, which has given rise to a number of plausible theories regarding the nature and constitution of these two minds. The late Thompson J. Hudson attained great popularity in 1893 by advancing his well-known theory of the objective and subjective minds, which he held existed in every individual. Other writers have attracted almost equal attention by the theories regarding the conscious and subconscious minds and the voluntary and involuntary minds, the active and the passive minds, etc., etc. The theories of the various writers differ from each other, but there remains the underlying principle of the duality of mind. The student of the Hermetic philosophy is tempted to smile when he reads and hears of these many quote-unquote new theories regarding the duality of mind, each school adhering tenaciously to its own pet theories, and each claiming to have discovered the truth, quote unquote. The student turns back the pages of occult history, and way back in the dim beginnings of occult teachings, he finds references to the ancient Hermetic doctrine of the principle of gender on the mental plane, the manifestation of mental gender. And examining further, he finds that the ancient philosophy took cognizance of this phenomena of the dual mind and accounted for it by the theory of mental gender. This idea of mental gender may be explained in a few words to students who are familiar with the modern theories just alluded to. The masculine principle of mind corresponds to the so-called objective mind, the conscious mind, voluntary mind, active mind, etc. And the feminine principle of mind corresponds to the so-called subjective mind, subconscious mind, involuntary mind, passive mind, etc. Of course, the Hermetic teachings do not agree with the many modern theories regarding the nature of the two phases of mind, nor does it admit many of the facts claimed for the two respective aspects. Some of the said theories and claims being very far-fetched and incapable of standing the test of experiment and demonstration. We point to the phases of agreement merely for the purpose of helping the student to assimilate his previously acquired knowledge with the teachings of the Hermetic philosophy. Students of Hudson will notice the statement at the beginning of his second chapter, The Law of Psychic Phenomena, that, quote, the mystic jargon of the Hermetic philosophers discloses the same general idea, for example, the duality of mind. If Dr. Hudson had taken the time and trouble to decipher a little of, quote, the mystic jargon of the Hermetic philosophy, unquote, he might have received much light upon the subject of the dual mind. But then perhaps his most interesting work might not have been written. Let us now consider the Hermetic teachings regarding mental gender. The Hermetic teachers impart their instruction regarding this subject by bidding their students examine the report of their consciousness regarding their self. The students are bidden to turn their attention inward upon the self dwelling within each. Each student is led to see that his consciousness gives him first a report of the existence of his self. The report is, I am. This at first seems to be the final words from the consciousness, but a little further examination discloses the fact that this I am may be separated or split into two distinct parts or aspects, which, while working in unison and in conjunction, yet nevertheless may be separated in consciousness. While at first there seems to be only an I existing, a more careful and closer examination reveals the fact that there exists an I and a me. These mental twins differ in their characteristics and nature, and an examination of their nature and the phenomena arising from the same will throw much light upon many of the problems of mental influence. Let us begin with a consideration of the me, which is usually mistaken for the I by the student, until he presses the inquiry a little further back into the recesses of consciousness. A man thinks of his self in its aspect of me as being composed of certain feelings, tastes, likes, dislikes, habits, peculiar ties, characteristics, etc., all of which go to make up his personality or the quote-unquote self, known to himself and others. He knows that these emotions and feelings change. They're born and they die away. They're subject to the principle of rhythm and the principle of polarity, which take him from one extreme of feeling to another. He also thinks of the me as being certain knowledge gathered together in his mind and thus forming a part of himself. This is the me of a man. But we have proceeded too hastily. The me of many men may be said to consist largely of their consciousness of the body, of their physical appetites, etc. Their consciousness being largely bound up with their bodily nature. They practically live there, quote unquote. Some men even go so far as to regard their personal apparel as a part of their me, and actually seem to consider it a part of themselves. A writer has humorously said that men consist of three parts: soul, body, and clothes. That sounds like a fashion designer's perfect ad. Oh man. All right, there we go. These clothes conscious people would lose their personality if divested of their clothing by savages upon the occasion of a shipwreck. I don't like the judgment about people where a shipwreck might happen. Let's just forgive the three initiates for that. Crazy. Okay. I don't condone that, just for the record. But even many who are not so closely bound up with the idea of personal raiment stick closely to the consciousness of their bodies being their me. They cannot conceive of a self independent of the body. Their mind seems to them to be practically a something belonging to their body, which in many cases it is indeed. But as man rises in the scale of consciousness, he is able to disentangle his me from the idea of body and is able to think of his body as belonging to the mental part of him. But even then, he is very apt to identify the me entirely with the mental states, feelings, etc. Don't know why I said comma there, sorry. I've been doing a lot of speech to text lately. I've been talking to people out loud, just in front of me, and I'll say comma or period. What the hell's wrong with me? Technology is changing us. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back to the book. Why the hell did I say comma? That was so weird. We'll start that again. Okay. But even then, he is very apt to identify the me entirely with the mental states, feelings, etc., which he feels to exist within him. He is very apt to consider these internal states as identical with himself. Instead of there being simply quote-unquote things produced by some part of his mentality and existing within him, of him, and in him, is within and in the same thing? Maybe they mean something slightly different that I'm not discerning right there. Discernment is key. But still not himself. He sees that he may change these internal states of feelings by all effort of will, and that he may produce a feeling or state of an exact exactly opposite nature in the same way, and yet the same me exists. And so after a while, he is able to set aside these various mental states, emotions, feelings, habits, qualities, characteristics, and other personal mental belongings. He is able to set them aside in the not me collection of curiosities and encumbrances, as well as valuable possessions. This requires much mental concentration and power of mental analysis on the part of the student. But still, the task is possible for the advanced student. And even those not so far advanced are able to see in the imagination how the process may be performed. After this laying aside process has been performed, the student will find himself in conscious possession of a self, which may be considered in its I and me dual aspects. The me will be felt to be a something mental in which thoughts, ideas, emotions, feelings, and other mental states may be produced. It may be considered as the mental womb, W-O-M-B, mental womb. So the me is the mental womb. That's kind of weird to think about. All right, okay, I got it. It may be considered as a mental womb, as the ancients styled it, capable of generating mental offspring. Ah, there we go. There it is. It reports to the consciousness as a me, with latent powers of creation and generation of mental progeny of all sorts and kinds. Its powers of creative energy are felt to be enormous, but still it seems to be conscious that it must receive some form of energy from either its I, companion, or else from some other I, just the capital letter I, like me, I, not E-Y-E or the eyeball. So sorry. Just so you know, I don't want anyone to get confused. I probably just confused you. Let me read that again. But still it seems to be conscious that it must receive some form of energy from either its I, companion, or else from some other I, ere it is able to bring into being its mental creations. This consciousness brings with it a realization of an enormous capacity for mental work and creative ability. But the student soon finds that this is not all that he finds within his inner consciousness. He finds that there exists a mental something which is able to will that the me act along certain creative lines, and which is also able to stand aside and witness the mental creation. This part of himself he is taught to call his I. He is able to rest in its consciousness at will. He finds there not a consciousness of an ability to generate and actively create in the sense of the gradual process attendant upon mental operations, but rather a sense and consciousness of an ability to project an energy from the I to the me, a process of willing that the mental creation begin and proceed. He also finds that the I is able to stand aside and witness the operations of the me's mental creation and generation. There is this dual aspect of the mind of every person. The I represents the masculine principle of mental gender. The me represents the female principle. The I represents the aspect of being. The me, the aspect of becoming. You will notice that the principle of correspondence operates on this plane just as it does upon the great plane upon which the creation of universes is performed. The two are similar in kind, although very vastly different in degree. As above, so below. As below, so above. These aspects of mind, the masculine and feminine principles, the I and the me, considered in connection with the well-known mental and psychic phenomena, give the master key to these dimly known regions of mental operation and manifestation. The principle of mental gender gives the truth underlying the whole field of the phenomena of mental influence, etc. The tendency of the feminine principle is always in the direction of receiving impressions, while the tendency of the masculine principle is always in the direction of giving out or expressing. The feminine principle has much more varied field of operation than has the masculine principle. The feminine principle conducts the work of generating new thoughts, concepts, ideas, including the work of the imagination. The masculine principle contents itself with the work of the will in its varied phases, and yet, without the active aid of the will of the masculine principle, the feminine principle is apt to rest content with generating mental images which are the result of impressions received from the outside, instead of producing original mental creations. Persons who can give continued attention and thought to a subject actively employ both of the mental principles, the feminine in the work of the mental generation, and the masculine will in stimulating and energizing the creative portion of the mind. The majority of persons really employ the masculine principle but little, and are content to live according to the thoughts and the ideas instilled into me from the eye of other minds. Ooh, that's deep. The majority of persons really employ the masculine principle but little, and are content to live according to the thoughts and the ideas instilled into the me from the eye of other minds. Wow, that was worth reading twice. What do you think? All right, let's move on. But it is not our purpose to dwell upon this phase of the subject, which may be studied from any good textbook upon psychology, with the key that we have given you regarding mental gender. The student of psychic phenomena is aware of the wonderful phenomena classified under the head of telepathy, thought transference, mental influence, suggestion, hypnotism, etc. Many have sought for an explanation of these varied phases of phenomena under the theories of the various dual mind teachers. And in a measure they are right, for there is clearly a manifestation of two distinct phases of mental activity. But if such students will consider these dual minds in the light of the Hermetic teachings regarding vibrations and mental gender, they will see that the long sought for key is at hand. In the phenomena of telepathy, it is seen how the vibratory energy of the masculine principle is projected toward the feminine principle of another person, and the latter takes the seed thought and allows it to develop into maturity. In the same way, suggestion and hypnotism operates. The masculine principle of the person giving the suggestions directs a stream of vibratory energy or willpower toward the feminine principle of the other person, and the latter, accepting it, makes it its own and acts and thinks accordingly. An idea thus lodged in the mind of another person grows and develops, and in time is regarded as the rightful mental offspring of the individual, whereas it is in reality like the cuckoo egg. I had to say it like that, cuckoo, like the cuckoo egg placed in the sparrow's nest, where it destroys the rightful offspring and makes itself at home. Oh, well, that's cuckoo. What the hell? Oh, that totally just described the whole TV show called Cuckoo, which I highly recommend because it is hilarious. I did not know that about the cuckoo bird. Did you guys know that? Like, they write it as if this is a common knowledge thing. Wow, 108 years ago, everybody knew that cuckoos would kill off all the other offspring and then become the offspring of the bird if a cuckoo egg was placed in a sparrow's nest. Is that what cuckoos do? That is cuckoo. Is it they just don't make their own nests? Those lazy bastards. I'm going to look this up later because this is weird. All right, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the book. I'm going to reread that. An idea that thus lodged in the mind of another person grows and develops, and in time is regarded as the rightful mental offspring of the individual, whereas it is in reality like the cuckoo egg placed in the sparrow's nest, where it destroys the rightful offspring and makes itself at home. The normal method is for the masculine and feminine principles in a person's mind to coordinate and act harmoniously in conjunction with each other. But unfortunately, the masculine principle in the average person is too lazy to act. The display of willpower is too slight, and the consequence is that such persons are ruled almost entirely by the minds and the wills of other persons, whom they allow to do their thinking and willing for them. How few original thoughts or original actions are performed by the average person. Are not the majority of persons mere shadows and echoes of others having stronger wills or minds than themselves? The trouble is that the average person dwells almost together in his me consciousness and does not realize that he has such a thing as an I. He is polarized in his feminine principle of mind, and the masculine principle in which is lodged the will is allowed to remain inactive and not employed. Well, nobody likes an unemployed masculine. Ha! Sorry. Gender joke, just because, sorry. All right, an inappropriate gender joke. It's time. Hey, yoga. Okay. The strong men and the women of the world invariably manifest the masculine principle of will, and their strength depends materially upon this fact. Instead of living upon the impressions made upon their minds by others, they dominate their own minds by their will, obtaining the kind of mental images desired, and moreover dominate the minds of others likewise in the same manner. Look at the strong people. Look at the strong people. How they manage to implant their seed thoughts in the minds of the masses of the people, thus causing the latter to think thoughts in accordance with the wills and desires of the strong individuals. This is why the masses of people are such sheep-like creatures, never originating an idea of their own, not using their own powers of mental activity. Yeah, I've met a lot of people like that. Not you guys, though. You guys are active masculine principles in your minds. That's why you're here. The manifestation of mental gender may be noticed all around us in everyday life. The magnetic persons are those who are able to use their masculine principle in the way of impressing their ideas upon others. The actor who makes people weep or cry as he wills is employing this principle. And so is the successful orator, statesman, preacher, writer, or other people who are before the public attention. The peculiar influence exerted by some people over others is due to the manifestation of mental gender along the vibrational lines above indicated. In this principle lies the secrets of personal magnetism, personal influence, fascination, etc., as well as the phenomena generally grouped under the name of hypnotism. The student who has familiarized himself with the phenomena, generally spoken of as psychic, will have discovered the important part played in the said phenomena by that force which science has styled suggestion, by which term is meant the process or method whereby an idea is transferred to or impressed upon the mind of another, causing the second mind to act in accordance therewith. A correct understanding of suggestion is necessary in order to intelligently comprehend the varied psychical phenomena which suggestion underlies. But still more is a knowledge of vibration and mental gender necessary for the student of suggestion. For the whole principle of suggestion depends upon the principle of mental gender and vibration. It is customary for the writers and teachers of suggestion to explain that it is the objective or voluntary mind which makes the mental impression or suggestion upon the subjective or involuntary mind, but they do not describe the process or give us any analogy in nature whereby we may more readily comprehend the idea. But if you will think of the matter in the light of the Hermetic teachings, you will be able to see that the energizing of the feminine principle by the vibratory energy of the masculine principle is in accordance to the universal laws of nature, and that the natural world affords countless analogies whereby the principle may be understood. In fact, the Hermetic teachings show that the very creation of the universe follows the same law, and that in all creative manifestations upon the planes of the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. How many of you just said Pepsi to yourself? Okay, getting back into this. Let me check it really quick. I got to see how many minutes we got. Oh, yeah. All right. We're probably only going to get through this chapter tonight. Pepsi, of the physical, emotional, mental, psychological bodies of the individual. Pepsi. The Pepsi bodies. Don't drink Pepsi. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys thought it. I'm like, Pepsi. There it is. All right. Where the heck were we? All right. In fact, the Hermetic teachings show that the very creation of the universe follows the same law, and that in all creative manifestations upon the planes of the spiritual, the mental, and the physical, there's always in operation this principle of gender, this manifestation of the masculine and the feminine principles. As above, so below. As below, so above. And more than this, when the principle of mental gender is once grasped and understood, the varied phenomena of psychology at once becomes capable of intelligent classifications and study. Instead of being very much in the dark, the principle works out in practice because it is based upon the immutable universal laws of life. We shall not enter into an extended discussion of or description of the varied phenomena of mental influence or psychic activity. There are many books, many of them quite good, which have been written and published on this subject of late years. The main facts stated in these various books are correct, although the several writers have attempted to explain the phenomena by various pet theories of their own. The student may acquaint himself with these matters, and by using the theory of mental gender, he will be able to bring order out of the chaos of conflicting theory and teachings, and may, moreover, readily make himself a master of the subject, if he be so inclined. The purpose of this work is not to give an extended account of psychic phenomena, but rather to give to the student a master key, whereby he may unlock the many doors leading into the parts of the temple of knowledge, which he may wish to explore. We feel that in his consideration of the teachings of the Kybalion, one may find an explanation which will serve to clear away many perplexing difficulties, a key that will unlock many doors. What is the use of going into detail regarding all of the many features of psychic phenomena and mental science, provided we place in the hands of the student the means whereby he may acquaint himself fully regarding any phase of the subject which may interest him? With the aid of the Kybalion, one may go through any occult library anew, the old light from Egypt illuminating many dark pages and obscure objects. That is the purpose of this book. We do not come expounding a new philosophy, but rather furnishing the outlines of a great world-old teaching, which will make clear the teachings of others, which will serve as a great reconciler of differing theories and opposing doctrines. Wow, that was a long chapter, guys, almost 40 minutes. All right, we're going to come back next week to do chapter 15, because that is quite enough to think about today. What do you think? I mean, I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and what I just read to you about hypnotism, I have never heard. And yet it's 100% true. I mean, what we do in hypnotherapy is we will delve into your subconscious mind and find the things that you don't wish to be there anymore, any longer. Erroneous ideas, thoughts, beliefs, feelings, things that hold you back. And if you imagine them as negatives, I just go in there with a marker and turn them into positives. Add a little line, an up and down line. Boom, 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 boom. Go down the line. That's all I do. That's all I've ever thought I did. Now I guess I'm using my mental will, masculine principle, my I, to impress upon your me, I guess. That's very odd, isn't it? I mean, of course, I never put my own personal ideas into anybody's mind. I ask you, what do you want? When I do hypnosis, that's how I do it. I'll say, give me the top 3 things you want to work on, and I'll hypnotize you, put you in the trance, and then I'll give you back your own words, feed your words back to you, because your words have much more meaning than my words ever could. And besides the fact that your subconscious mind is automatically going to reject anything that does not feel like a truth. Believe it or not. But yeah, that's true. I mean, when I think about sales pitches, man. The sales pitches from the sales bitches. I'm just kidding. But it is, right? And when people are pitching sales, they're trying to sell you something. The Ginsu knives or whatever. Cut a tomato so thin your in-laws will never come back. I don't know if you guys remember that one. The knife that could cut through shoe leather and then cut a tomato so thin that you could see through it. That's why your in-laws will never come back. They think you're a cheapskate. Oh my God, that's always been a joke. I've always said that around my kids, and they're like, what do you mean, my in-laws? What are you talking about? And then I explained it to them. They think it's hilarious. It is funny, but it's also pretty damn cool. A knife can cut the tomatoes so thin. See? They use their masculine eye principle, and the me part of me goes, oh yeah, that's a cool knife, man. Or just whatever, like whatever people are trying to sell you, like they do use their willpower, I always say, hey, check with your higher self, use your discernment, use your truth. Oh my God, even these cards coming in handy, not with only what I said before I talked about the cards, but with also what this book said to you tonight, just now. Pretty cool. Man, this is cool. So, yeah, this is a lot to take in, right? I'm going to have to probably read it again to myself or listen to what I read to you guys. I'm going to have to listen as if I don't recognize my own voice, because it just gives me the creeps. I don't like listening to myself so much. But I feel like we're getting some deep spiritual truths. Were you thinking any images other than what the book was saying? Did you remember a time in which you were subject to the suggestions of others when they're trying to sell you something? When I was reading that part, I had such a funny memory. I was sitting in the garden of my grandpa Fox. He had grown up on the Cherokee lands until he was about 12 years old. And his mom and dad moved him to California. And he was one of like 7 kids, maybe actually I think he said 11 or 12 kids. I don't even remember. He had a lot of family members. In fact, one time I went with my grandpa to his parents' house, and his parents, I think, had already died. And when we went there, a bunch of his brothers and sisters were there, and he did not, this is weird because he did not introduce me to anybody. He had to have a word with someone. He told me to wait in the hallway. And I never saw these people before or since. It was a very odd, I don't even know what happened. He was very close to the vest. He was a Virgo, and he just kept himself, So I didn't know anything about his family, but I did know him, and I knew him very well. And because I lived with them, my grandma and grandpa. When my parents were going through a divorce, I was at my grandma and grandpa's house. They were like my second parents. And so I helped my grandpa with everything in his house. If he needed WD-40 to fix a squeaky door, I was on it with him. I'd watch, and I was like his right-hand woman, even since I was very, very little. I would help him with the projects, with the garden and the feeding of the birds and the making of the earthworms. He had a massive earthworm bed, and he would feed them coffee grounds and newspapers every day. And that's how you got the big, fat, juicy earthworms. And then it was time to go fishing once a week, and I'd go fishing with him. And, he was Cherokee. He grew his own food. He caught his own fish. And he saved a lot of money on groceries. That's how I grew up, was with my grandparents. And I remember one day I was sitting, this is like so strange. I would watch TV in the afternoon when my grandpa was still at work. And after he came home, he would turn off the TV and say, let's go outside. And when they would spend all day together outside. And on the weekends, he would not encourage me to watch TV. During the day, we would walk down to my school where I attended kindergarten. My parents divorced when I was in kindergarten. Boy, that sucked. But I loved being with my grandpa and my grandma both. And they both had different things to offer me, and they were amazing people. God bless them. God rest both their souls. But I would, we'd go down and play basket. He bought me a basketball, and I would try to make a basket, and he would laugh his head off because I was so little, I could barely throw, and it was fun. But then he said, well, what other kind of ball do you want? I'm like, let's get a handball. So I bought a handball, and I would throw it against the handball wall, and and we would play that together. We just played all kinds of stuff together. Just a lot of games and tic-tac-toe, and he taught me jacks, and I think he taught me hopscotch. He taught me a lot of stuff. We had a great deal of fun together. But one day I was sitting in his garden, and I had been watching TV after school every day during the time in which the original Kit Kat candy bars came out. And now, if you're old enough, if you're my age, you're going to know what the hell I mean. If you're like in your 30s or your 20s, or you're younger, you know what? And you don't know what I'm talking about? The Kit Kat commercial with the lion in it. Oh, I had a thing for lions when I was a kid. That lion that rawr, rawr, for MGM, the MGM lion, and Fraser, I think, was that lion's name, and I met that lion. I pet that lion when I was a kid. I loved that lion. I'm an animal trainer in heaven. I did a show on this last year. Look up, I was an animal trainer in heaven. Is I think why I named it. Super, obvious, right? But you just look up animal trainer, Metaphysical Soul Speak the podcast. You'll find it. But my experiences of training animals there. And I think I even talked about having some run-ins with animals here. Horses get spooked when you mention the other world. They freak out. They're very skittish about it. They don't want to remember. And dogs always remember me from there. Dogs are okay with it. Sometimes, and cats too. But anyway, but I was sitting there, and my grandpa said, look what I got you. Because I was always talking about the Kit Kat commercials. I can't wait to try Kit Kat, because the Kit Kat commercials, because they use their eye on me. And I'm like, oh my God, my grandpa bought me a candy bar. And I had to hide it from my grandma because she was going to be like, oh, don't go spoiling your dinner. And she would let me eat it anyway, but she'd be like, don't go spoiling your dinner. And then she'd be mad. But then she'd feign to be mad. She wouldn't really ever be mad. And if she was mad at all, it'd be at my grandpa, never at me, I was the golden child, and I loved having at least that kind of love from some people in my life. And that part was lovely. And so I was like sitting there hiding, I think I had a skirt on, or like a long shirt or jacket, maybe a sweater, and I was like kind of hiding it. He's like, don't let grandma see it. And I'm like eating it, and I'm eating it, and I'm like, oh. And he said, what? I'm like, well, if I crunch it, according to the commercial, a lion is going to walk through the yard. And he's like, do you really think a lion is going to walk through the yard? I'm like, you never know. In fact, that's what they said on the commercial, something like that. The Kit Kat's coming, right? Or it was like something about Kit Kat. I don't remember even what they said. I just remember that when you eat the Kit Kat, a lion is going to come with a big mane, and it's going to be right there next to you. And then you're going to be like, whoa, there it is. Oh my God, lion out of nowhere. And I kind of half expected it. It was very odd, very strange. I mean, I knew better, but then a part of me was kind of wishful thinking and kind of hoping. But I know is the I principle acting on the me principle in my mind. So anyway, while I was reading that part of the book, I was like, whoa, that's true. And it's so weird because I knew better, but I hoped that what they showed me was going to happen. So while I'm eating the candy bar, I was thinking about the lion. And every time I saw a lion, what did I think about? Kit Kat bar. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Because you break it, right? And so crunchy and it's satisfying. And then they always put it with the image of a lion. The king of beasts, the king of the jungle, the strong, mighty lion. Really strange, right? Now you all want a KitKat bar. I'm sorry. I do not mean to impress that upon your subconscious minds, but have you ever had anything that impressed you so much that you never ever forgot it and you make references to it your whole damn life? Or you just have an image in your mind when you see something? The only time that the image of the KitKat bar was replaced from the lion to something else is my friend from Saudi Arabia. It was his favorite candy bar, and he'd always buy it for the kids and I. He would buy like one and share it between the four of us because there's 4 pieces. And now when I see KitKat, I think, that's Jihad's favorite candy bar. I wonder how Jihad is. And now I don't think about lions, but my whole childhood, it was about the lions. So I mean, it's powerful when you think about this. So what do you have to do to undo and unravel some of this wilder stuff that has been pushed upon you, even if you weren't even aware of it, especially when you're kids? There's a lot of religious stuff, a lot of programming we need to undo and delete. I think you need to just work on your masculine eye, your internal willpower. You need to focus on it, force it to be very strong. And how do you do that? I think willpower. Just maybe you need to lower your caffeine intake. So if you normally have 5 cups of coffee, have 4 tomorrow. Do that for 3 days and then lower it, 3 cups. You can always go back to 5 cups later if you really, 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 really want to. But use your willpower for stuff like that. Next time you go out and you really want a candy bar or a donut or ice cream, use your willpower to say no. If you're trying to diet and then you go buy Dunkin' Donuts, and now you have to because you're in the store, you're in the mall. I mean, I know you. I know who you are. No, I know a lot of people are like that. Now that I'm here, when in Rome. You're trying to quit drinking, and then you go to someone's house and they open up a bottle of whatever. From wine to Hennessy, you're there because, hey, when in Rome. Right? So use your willpower not to drink. Use your willpower not to eat the donut. Use your willpower not to sleep with your ex. Some of you have that issue, like, I kind of miss the ex, and miss the sex of the ex, maybe not so much the ex, or whatever it is. I mean, use your willpower in whatever way. Say you're used to lazy sleeping in the morning. We're all stuck in quarantine or have been for a while, and then we get used to the habits of not getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 or 10. Instead, we sleep until we eke it out till 11:39. Maybe use your willpower in that way. That's how you're going to strengthen your eye of your mind. And then you're going to be able to impress the me part of your mind with the I part of your mind. And you can impress it and unravel programming from the past, other people, religions, salespeople, and KitKat commercials. So anyway, there we go. Woo! That is one more week down of the Kybalion, and we'll be back next Monday with the next chapter 15 of the Kybalion. But until then, tomorrow, I will be back with all unique and original programming, just like always. And I wanted to say thank you to all of you who have been spreading the word about the show. I mean, as you know, I've tried to get my name out there, not really my name, but the name of the podcast out there, Metaphysical Soul Speak the Podcast. I tell people, and I've been kicked out of the groups with millions of members because you're not allowed to promote yourself. I'm like, dude, it's a free podcast. Like, promote myself. Like, what? I'm making 1 penny per listen, but you don't have to pay to even listen to me. It's free. That's what's so wonderful about it. I'm helping y'all for free, and when I help you, I help me. We're all in this ascension together, and I'm so grateful to have you along So I'm not so lonely on my journey, and you're not so lonely on your journey, because I'm here for you too. And I love that we are #Soul Tribe, #Soul Family. And these are some of the hashtags I use to find me on social media. I have Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, on YouTube. And if you're missing episodes, just go to anchor.fm/metaphysical. My distributor and I have not seen eye to eye. I mean, I pay them to do a job and they didn't do it correctly. They don't distribute all the shows. So it is what it is. We're stuck till April with this, but it's okay. It'll come around. Things are going to work out soon. But anyway, but I can't add to the groups on the Facebook, and there's a lot of groups that have like millions and millions of people. Now I can't say something, but you guys can. So if you take it into consideration, the next time you're on Facebook, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell everyone about Metaphysical Soul Speak. Hey, you guys, I found a really cool podcast that whatever. They're not going to erase it if you promote me. They only erase it if I promote me. Weird, right? I don't understand why, but it is what it is. Anyway, a lot of you have been mentioning me in your stories on Instagram and also on Twitter. I just want to say thank you for that. I'm so appreciative of that. That is super, super, super cool. Yasmin, thank you. Or Yasmin, maybe that's how you say it. She's from Germany. She's redhead like me. She's my long lost soul sister. Also, I have a Jasmine and Kelsey. I have a lot of people that I've been talking to. You guys are my long lost soul tribe. I'm so happy to have you aboard. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for listening, for your continued confidence in me and my abilities and in my show. And I don't know what tomorrow's episode will bring, but, well, hopefully it's going to be something very interesting. I'm sure it will be. So there you have it. I love each and every one of you, but right now I've got to go. I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibrations of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.